Jon Jones put an Instagram post out. He was doing some squats, 400 pounds, 500 pounds. I don't know what it was, a ton of weight. A ton of weight. And I am very curious, and I'm very into the experiment that is Jon Jones that's going on, right? And that experiment, real simple. Not can he go out and compete skill-wise with heavyweights. That's not what this is. He's attempting to transform his body because he believes if he's going to be at heavyweight, he needs to weigh what a heavyweight weighs. And Jon even set a goal that at some point he put out, and I remember hearing, of 240 pounds. Jon Jones at 240 pounds, I mean, that is going to be interesting. Flat scary, right? Flat scary is what Jon Jones is now. Now you're telling me he's going to put on 15 pounds of steel? And he's going to be taking on guys who theoretically are slower than he is? It's very interesting. However, it's not as simple. I have to use the word theoretically. I have to use that because it is an experiment and we don't know. When you change your physiology, things happen that you won't consider. I can go back to personalize it, but to my childhood. And you guys remember this when you're a kid. You have summer break, but you have to get all new school clothes. You don't get those clothes just because it's a new year of you grew in summer break. Those clothes don't fit. Your pants now, they're too short. You're coming out of the shirts. The shoes don't fit. Your body grows. 2 and 3 inches. You can put on 10, 12, 15 pounds. And I remember I would wrestle every day. But every day we got 7 weeks a year off. 7 weeks off. First week of July was our last practice, and we had all the way until September 2nd. 7 weeks. And I can remember going into practice on those first days. It was like I had never done it before. To bend your knees and get in a stance and move your feet and try to attack an opponent or defend yourself from attacks from an opponent. When you've gained 12 pounds or when you've grown 3 inches, it was starting over from step one. Balance, coordinate, all these things were off. And you got it back, it comes back quickly. 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's a distant memory. But it happens. It's my only frame of reference. But now Jon's about to go through that. And I'm very curious, is that going to help him? Is he approaching this right? I think that he is. I see it the way Jon sees it. If you're going to go into heavyweight and the limit is 265, and you're going to be the smallest heavyweight to have fought for a championship since Randy Couture did it in 2007, yeah, it would seem as though doing some powerlifting, getting some size makes sense. I would have never even considered that he was looking at it wrong, ever. Until Israel Adesanya came out and said he's not going to do it. Talking about himself. Adesanya moving up to 205 pounds, he said, I'm not going to put on 1 single pound. This is not about me getting bigger to fight these guys. It's about me being smaller than the guys that I'm fighting. That is what the story is. I am coming up in weight. I'm not going to change myself. I don't want to have to reset and recalibrate my timing and my speed and my offenses and my defenses because I put on size, which in theory could make you slower and it could, tired faster rather, and it could make you physically a little bit slower. But I had never considered it. Have you guys? Did you ever consider that? I think we would all default to the rationale that Jon had. I got some size I'm giving up. I got some time. I'm going to spend it filling that gap. Made sense until Adesanya said no. Now, we're going to have to juxtapose these two. Right? This isn't going to, we're not going to have the answer to this just when Adesanya gets done and just the result of Adesanya's match with Blachowicz, or after Jon's competition and the result. This is going to be very performance-based. It's going to be a very interesting study. 2 guys changing weight classes, 1 guy trying to put on size, 1 guy changing weight classes and purposely not trying to put on size. I don't know what the right answer is, but I am very curious. Seeing Jon Jones at 240 pounds, it's an interesting thing. It's very difficult if not almost impossible. At his age, Jon's age, to put on 15 pounds in 6 months and to do it of all muscle. And I've made this point before, and I had some steroid freak on the internet tell me that no, that's very reasonable. No, it is not. And the steroid freak doesn't know anybody who's done it. He's read about people doing it. He's been told this as folklore, but he wasn't smart enough to know that they were sticking a needle in their ass. Yes, I know plenty of people that can put on 15 pounds of muscle in 6 months by using anabolics. That's not what we're talking about. And it's the muscle specifically is what I bring to you. To put on muscle, like if you talk to bodybuilders and you know about that, you can't put on muscle without putting on fat. That is where they'll do those bulking, they'll eat so many calories, they'll look disgusting, but then they'll take the fat off and what's left is the muscle. We're talking pure muscle. So it's a very interesting experiment. And if you've ever tried to lose weight, you know how hard that is. But I'll tell you one just as hard is trying to gain weight. When you are trying to put down protein and put down calories and lift heavy weights, it's just a slow build. It's extremely hard. You're uncomfortable most of the time because you're so full. And it's a very challenging thing to put on lean mass. But I could also point to you to 7 or 8 or 9 other very hard things to do in life that Jon Jones did. Rules don't apply to him. He has a different belief system. He has a different level of success. He has a different level of expectation. I'm curious. I'm not sold on it. I would have been sold. I would have been sold on Jon is doing everything right. Until Adesanya offered the other side. And I think as this plays out, and we see these smaller guys moving up, I think that we're going to learn a lot, and I think that we need to be open to the idea of changing our mind if we're confronted with new evidence.